It was a mixed quarter for banks in Minnesota and the Twin Cities in the second quarter of 2016. Hi, my name is Ron Feldman. I'm the Executive Vice President here at the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, and I'm going to talk a little bit about banking conditions in the Twin Cities in Minnesota as of the second quarter of 2016. As you can see, it was a mixed quarter for Minnesota and Twin Cities banks, and mixed in two regards. First, the Twin Cities was a bit weaker than the state overall, and then for each of the two entities, the Minnesota and Twin City banks, it was mixed in terms of some areas did well, some areas did a little less well. So what do we mean by that? So Twin Cities was a little weaker in my estimation because profits were flat, so they didn't improve at all from last quarter, and there actually was less loan growth. Minnesota was a bit more positive in terms of profitability, and I'll talk about that in a second. For both Minnesota and the Twin Cities, an important measure of performance is their problem loans. Those are at really low levels, lower than they would be normally historically, and they remain at normal levels. So in that sense, that was an okay quarter. And then finally, I made a forecast at the end of last year for where things would be at by the end of this year, and that forecast looks like it's holding. So I'm going to walk through a series of graphs now that give you a little more meat to the bones of what I just said. So let's start with Minnesota bank profitability in the second quarter, and I'm going to explain what the graph's going to look like. All of the graphs you're going to see are being very similar. So first you see a horizontal dashed line. That's going to show you what the historic norm has been over this entire period since 2001. Then you're going to see the line moving up and down. That's going to show you where we are in terms of, in this case, profitability. And this is for the median bank in the state. And then you're going to see a green barbell. That's the forecast that I've made for where things are going to end up at the end of the year. So you can see that profitability for banks in Minnesota as a whole was a little bit up, but not a lot. And it's really right at historic norms. And you can see right in the forecast. So let's move to loan growth, and I'm going to go a little quicker through some of the slides now that I've explained them. Again, you can see it's at the historic norm, but it's down. It's down relative to where it was last quarter. And again, you're looking at loan growth here, so you can have positive loan growth this quarter, which we have, but it's still lower than what it was before. And then finally, let's look at problem loans. Here, it's really a remarkable number, right? It's so far below the historic norm, and it's even a little bit less than my forecast. I was thinking that problem loans, just because they're at such low levels, are going to tick up a little bit. That's still my expectation, but we had an actual decrease in problem loans in Minnesota in the quarter. So in that sense, things were getting a little bit better. So for Minnesota, it wasn't a great quarter. Loan growth was a little bit down, but it wasn't bad. For the Twin Cities, it's a little worse, right? Why is that? Well, like Minnesota, Twin Cities profits are at their historic norm, but there was no improvement relative to last year. It's right in the middle of where my forecast is for the end of the year. Loan growth is down a little bit, so we got flat profitability, declining loan growth. That's not what makes a great quarter in my estimation. And then finally, we've got problem loans, again, at historically low levels. So let me summarize for the second quarter. It was mixed, some things a little up, some things a little down. I'd say generally a flat to weak quarter for the Twin Cities, a little bit better for the state as a whole. Thank you.